All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Chairwoman Younger is not present here today, but she is via teleconference, so I will be chairing the meeting. Jeff, can you please provide us with a report from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a report after a closed session. The board met in closed session with their real property negotiator concerning APN number 166053916 and took no action. The board also met in closed session with their labor negotiation pursuant to Health and Safety Code section 54957.6 and took no action. The board also met in closed session for an employee evaluation of the executive management team pursuant to Government Code section 54957B1 and directed the CEO to take appropriate action. And finally, the board met in closed session pursuant to Government Code section 54957B1, the CEO evaluation, and authorized the board president to take appropriate action. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Now let's do a roll call vote. Director Coulter? Here. Director Gleason? Here. Director Sanchez?
Here.
Director Younger? I don't know if she just can hear me. Director Younger, can you hear us? Maybe not. Maybe you're on mute. Director Brown? Here. And then Director Chavez, can you hear us? Okay, we're going to move on from that. It's okay. They're probably on mute. And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Roger, do you mind leading us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Public comments announcement. Members of the public may address the board regarding any items listed on the board agenda at the time the item is being considered by the board of directors. Per board policy 19-018, members of the public may have 3 minutes individually to address the board. Note, members of the public may speak on any item not listed on the board of agenda, which falls within the jurisdiction of the board of directors and may speak so immediately prior to board communications. Let's move on to our next agenda item, and at this time we'd like to recognize our Nurse of the Year for outpatient and inpatient services, as well as our Patient Care Support Staff of the Year. Can we have Tammy George and her manager, Debbie Engelhardt, come up to the podium? And Joanne. Okay. Yay.
Thank you for your time this afternoon. So on behalf of the Nursing Division, I wanted to thank our Board of Directors for allowing this opportunity to honor our recipients for our annual Nursing Division Awards. So this year we had a Nurse of the Hospital Award winner. We had an Outpatient Nurse Award winner. This was new this year, and then also Support Staff of the Year Award. You know, Nurses Week is such a special time that we really get to honor and celebrate everybody that reports in the nursing division and all of our ancillary staff for really thanking them for all that we do for our patients. Our celebration also includes a hosted lunch where there we announce the award winners. This year, Director Brown was present during our luncheon, and I really wanted to say thank you for taking the time to coming and really giving such an inspirational speech to the group that was there. What makes this really special is these award recipients, they are nominated by their peers. So not nursing leadership, but by their peers for a job well done, whether it's from the spirit of teamwork or really the patient care that they provide. They are also scored in 5 different categories. So that's customer service, professionalism, professional practice, quality of care, and then them going above and beyond. So these are our top-notch nurses for this year, so really excited that they're here with us today. So at this time, I would like to introduce our 3 awardees. So our Nurse of the Year for the hospital is Tammy George. So she is a nurse on our 2P Pavilion Unit, Med-Surg and Oncology. So a few words from her peers. So Tammy's a role model. showing compassion. She takes excellent care of our patients. She spends the time getting to know them at the bedside, and she's an excellent resource and a recent charge nurse. And one of the things that was really resounding is staff really appreciate her support when she's in the charge nurse role. She goes out of the way, she educates at the bedside, and they just wanted to say thank you for all of your hard work and teamwork. Welcome. All right, so our Nurse of the Year for the outpatient area is Bernadette Rosette, and she works in the Outpatient Behavioral Health Services Unit. Is she? Please come on up. So nice to see you again. So some of the words from her peers are, Bernadette is a beacon of inspiration, and she empowers our staff to grow every single day. She skillfully navigates the complex care that we provide to our patients, and her commitment to patient support and education is excellent. One of the extra added special things about this awardee this year is Bernadette's son, Dean, is our telemetry nurse on the night shift, and he was actually nominated as the telemetry nurse of the year. So it was great to see them both being honored this year. The last award is our support staff of the year, and that goes to Neil DeMaio, who's an ACT in our forensic unit. He was unable to join us today, but some of his peer comments is Neil has a very positive attitude. He goes above and beyond. He demonstrates kindness and compassion and has outstanding clinical skills, and he's a team player that I'd like to work with every single shift. So thank you for your time, and a round of applause for our winners.
Thank you again, and congratulations to you all. Is there any member of the public that would like to make a public remark on this? If I don't see anyone, we're going to move on to the next agenda. The next agenda item is April financial statement results. This will be An Nguyen's first time presenting our financials, so please welcome An to the podium.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me today. Thank Dr. Moore for giving me the opportunity to be here today. So here you go. Here we go, our financial for April. Doesn't go to the next slide.
Oh, Janice is with you.
Where's our IT people?
Okay, I don't have to talk.
Oh, no. Here we go. All fixed.
Okay, for the current month, as of April, we experienced a drop in our operating revenue by $800,000, but our operating expense also decreased by $2.7 million. Therefore, we have a positive EBITDA of 1.8, almost 1.9, and an EROE of almost $2 million. For the year to date, our operating revenue is almost $11 million favorable compared to the budget. Our operating expense only increased by $4.4 million. Therefore, we also have a positive EBITDA of $6.7 million and the EROE of $6.9 million. And if we compare to prior year, we have a favorable of $31.5 million in operating revenue, but our expenses only increased by $6.7 million. Therefore, we also have a positive EBITDA of $27 million and a positive EROE of almost $28 million, which is a very good turnaround for the hospital. So this is the slide that shows our EBITDA and EROE for the last 24 months. As you can see, we head in the right direction. With the positive EBITDA and EROE will allow us to reinvest into our employee, our equipment, our facility. Ultimately, it will benefit our patient and community and employee, of course. here are a few key indicators that help us with the positive financial outcome. So our ADC year-to-date is 125 compared to the budget of 123 and prior year of 115. We have an increase of almost 8.8%. Our adjusted patient day is decreased, which is good because most of our payer, it's a DRJ. I'm sorry. Our surgery also increased almost 10% compared to prior year and 2% favorable compared to our budget. And our ED visit also increased by 7.8% compared to prior year and 2% favorable to our budget. Our our ADC dropped a little bit in the month of April, that because of the holiday, the Easter and all that. So that's the only reason. But we still head in the right direction as our budget and much better compared to prior years. Our FTE per adjusted occupied bed a little bit higher this month. The reason for it because our volume dropped a little bit at the end of April and we couldn't flex fast enough. And our length of stay also decreased, which is good. It's a good sign because I think that's all I have. Any question?
Board members, any questions for On? Thank you, On, so much. All right, we're on to agenda item 8 is for new business. I would like to introduce Chris Benson from Juniper Advisory, who will provide a presentation on affiliation. And can I please remind everyone just to be kind and silence their cell phones so there's no interruptions during the presentation. Thank you. Chris.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to present to the board. We were last here on January 30th as you embarked on this process. I'm also joined by my colleague Casey Webb, and we'll be available for your questions. A brief overview of our discussion today. We'll first start by reviewing the process which started at the beginning of the year. We will review the potential partners, the proposals, and then just a brief moment on next steps. We'd like to start by displaying the objectives. These objectives are the foundation of the work. These are the exact same objectives that you started and defined at the beginning of this process and approved on January 30th. It's important to note them, though, because they're your true north. There's always complexities that arise as you move through a potential partnership exploration. And so it's good to have that true north and that foundation to look back on. And so we'll spend a moment on that. The first, and these are all identified by Tri-City, was to strengthen your longstanding commitment to clinical quality, safety, and experience. Second was to enhance that brand and market differentiation and also the community perception. Third was to bring innovative resources through a partnership to expand that clinical breadth, quality, and integration of your services, and also reduce those instances where the local community feels it's necessary to go outside of their community for care and getting that good care right here. The next is to ensure the long-term financial sustainability of Tri-City, and we'll spend a bit more time on that. Also, very important, enhance the ability to recruit, retain high-quality physicians, nurses, and staff like the ones that were recognized here today. Additionally, the ability to strengthen that capacity to make investments in both facilities, technologies, programs, and your staff. And finally, to identify a partner that helps promote that organizational culture that embraces accountability, excellence, and a patient-first approach. By way of situation, we've trended the last 6 years of your financial results, and It's important because this is that margin that allows you to carry out your mission. Overall, you can see despite strong work on managing expenses, revenue has decreased over that period, and so has your liquidity, in this case measured by days cash on hand. That's your ability to meet those expenses and to make it through storms. As An just went through very well, the most recent results have been significant and a significant turnaround, and that's a credit to the team. Despite that, if you were to look at the longer trends, there would still be a question, a concern about the ability to fund your own clinical growth and also meet seismic capital needs. Now on to the process. On February 3rd, as approved by the board through this process, and we'll go through a timeline on the next slide, we approached 25 potential partners. 20 of those were nonprofit, 5 were investor-owned. The group was diverse in many ways, from geography, from ownership type, and makeup. Of that group, 3 chose to sign the non-disclosure agreement. By doing so, they had access to the information materials and the secure data room, which covers all aspects of Tri-City, both the historical performance and also the vision moving forward. That's financial information, it's facilities information, and such. Ultimately, there were 3 indications of interest through this phased process, of which there were 2 phases. And what we're discussing today are the 2 proposals that were ultimately submitted in that phase 2. The board has been very deliberate and thorough in the process. We'll just go through some of the key dates. I referenced after the preparation that happened over the end of the prior year and the beginning of this year. Ultimately, with your approval, we approached the market to those 25 partners. For those that signed that non-disclosure agreement, they received access to materials in early February in order to prepare indications of interest, which were expected on April 11th. The board had a chance to review the indications of interest and ultimately chose to continue with the process as planned. More recently, on April 28th, the instruction letter 2 went out. That is just a document that helped to guide partners as they submitted information for that phase 2 response. Throughout May, we had a number of discussions with partners, provided additional information, clarification, and such, leading to the phase 2 responses, which were received on May 21st. And then we're here today for the board review. Foreshadowing, there's a plan, should the board move forward with the process, that we would move towards a letter of intent for mid-June. Now on to partners. It feels silly for me to be talking about the partners because these are your neighbors. We'll start off with Sharp, a strong community system with a significant presence here in San Diego. Notably provides both care and coverage with the health plan with 166,000 members. Consistent, stable financial results as well. Publicly recognized strong quality scores. And we have a few other characteristics listed in the bottom left there. UCSD Health, an absolute gem for the community. To think about living in a community that has a top 10 nationally ranked academic medical center, as ranked by U.S. News and World Report, that is an asset that any community would want to have and is important for the health of everyone in the region. Also very strong finances, and a very stable approach. More recently has made major investments in their facilities and also grown through an acquisition of now what's known as their East Campus. Not surprisingly, with that top 10 national ranking, you also see very strong quality scores, both patient satisfaction and the CMS scores. Just an overview of the partner footprint. This is their acute care facilities, with Tri-City being represented by the star in the upper portion of the map. It is obvious from the map that obviously Tri-City would represent an attractive opportunity for a footprint in the growing North Valley. We'll move on to proposals. Now, I know that the proposals were posted for public and board access, and that you've had a chance to review those. I have a total of 4 slides. I'll spend most of the time on this first slide. The next 3 have good detail, and hopefully they were helpful as you prepared for the meeting. We'll start with Sharp. Sharp proposes a partnership in which they would have a long-term lease encompassing all of Tri-City's assets and operations. They propose to assume the liabilities of Tri-City. They've made a capital commitment in this proposal of $100 million minimum. That represents 50 for routine and maintenance items, and then contemplates 50 for strategic items over that same time period. They've made a commitment to maintain seismic compliance, or at a minimum of 175 beds, and also to install Epic and then the Workday ERP system. The proposal would be subject to due diligence, as both proposals are, but this also, given the nature of the proposal and the transaction, would require public approval. The UCSD proposal has 2 phases. The first phase would be a comprehensive cancer center right here on Tri-City's campus. That would be jointly operated by Tri-City and the university through a new authority, Joint Powers Authority, 51% governed by TCMC and managed by UCSD. The parties would jointly fund the development and startup costs of the Cancer Center, and the further clarified a capital commitment of $80 to $100 million for both that Cancer Center work, Epic installation, and clinical service projects. This would be subject to due diligence, but does not require a public vote. In phase 2, and the timing of those phases is fluid, and there's been expressed flexibility for those phases. There's a potential for Tri-City to transfer all assets and liabilities once certain conditions are met. The authority would still be majority governed by Tri-City and managed by UCSD, with a potential for Tri-City to negotiate a process to fully step away from governance and operational requirements. Further clarification also was a commitment to maintain a minimum of 140 beds with seismic retrofit. These are the slides that I mentioned that go over that same information with quite a bit more detail. And even though they are detailed, I'd encourage, and I know that you've read the actual proposals, which contain both the information and also additional details. So the slide I just showed was for Sharp, and then this is phase 1 for UCSD, and then phase 2. All of that information is consistent and taken from the proposals, and is also what was used to build the executive summary I just reviewed. So now, finishing with next steps, classically a board, and we work with boards across the country at all times, at the end of phase 2, you have the option to classically end the partnership exploration and choose to remain as you're currently configured. There are some considerations that you would obviously want to work through there, both to sustain operations and then also to make investments into the future. The second choice would be to continue with the process as originally designed, select a partner, and move forward with a letter of intent, and then there's a number of steps after that as well. So that concludes my presentation. We'll just end on the objectives.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for that excellent presentation. Now I'd like to open up the floor to both the CEOs from the hospital systems that have offered the proposals. If you'd like to speak, by either Patty or Chris, whoever would like to take the floor first. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it is truly a pleasure to have this opportunity to be with you all today to speak on behalf of Sharp Healthcare and our interest in a wonderful relationship with Tri-City Medical Center and the district. On behalf of Tri-City, or on behalf of Sharp Healthcare's Board of Directors, the 20,000 team members, thousands of dedicated physicians and volunteers that collectively comprise Sharp Healthcare, we do thoroughly appreciate the opportunity to explain why we're interested in this relationship and what we believe we bring to bear in it. There can be no doubt that this board has put monumental time and effort into deciding what is the best future for this hospital. And we applaud you for that, because we know, of all things, running a hospital in this day and age is not easy business. Running a freestanding, independent district hospital is also very challenging. And so the fact that we have the experience that we have that I'm going to speak to, and the fact that we can have a discussion on it if necessary, truly just means that we're honored to have this opportunity to explain why we think we'll be the best partner. You've heard about Sharp Healthcare. We're the largest healthcare system in San Diego, 4 acute care hospitals, 4 specialty hospitals, including one that I'm going to speak about here in just a minute. The largest behavioral health provider in San Diego County, the largest Medi-Cal provider in San Diego County. And we're also dedicated to the future of medicine as you know it, population health, where the government is moving, where insurance is moving, health systems that are able to take the risk for managing the health of a population, keeping a population healthy, and do so in an ecosystem, an economic ecosystem that allows for profitability for the system at the same time. With all that said, with what we bring to bear, we see a bright future for Tri-City Medical Center in this healthcare district. We think it's a gem. And we think the district is a gem. And we think this gem will be even more of a gem 20 years from now. We see this, though, in part based on our own history, a successful history of managing a district hospital. And I'm speaking, of course, of our 34-year history of leasing, operating Sharp Grossmont Hospital. And in fact, today, this very day, is the 34th anniversary of the beginning of our relationship with Sharp Grossmont Hospital. Our wonderful partnership with that district board is something to behold. Bob Ayers, Randy Lennick, Virginia Hall, Gloria Chadwick, and the newest board member, Nadia Farhood. We have a wonderful partnership with this district, and it is truly a partnership. We work together, we plan together, we think together, and we make sure that the community's needs are met, but also, first and foremost, the hospital's needs are met. It's a 30-year relationship that's going strong since 1991, and in fact, it was recently renewed for another 30-year lease running now through 2051. But the real heart of what I want to share with you is not that. It's not what Sharp is about. It's not what our history is. It's really what has happened to Sharp Grossmont Hospital since we became the partner with the Grossmont Healthcare District. As you know, Sharp Grossmont is the largest provider of care in the East County of San Diego. It has experienced a boom since it became a partner with Sharp. Inpatient discharges have grown 53%. Outpatient visits have increased 48%. The hospital has experienced growth in profitability, value, and service to the community. In 1991, the net revenue of Sharp Grossmont Hospital was $140 million. Last year, fiscal year 2024, Sharp Grossmont's revenue was $1.1 billion. It's licensed for 542 beds, having grown from almost 100 beds since the day we took over operations of the hospital. And as mentioned, we now have 4 acute care hospitals because we recently opened a state-of-the-art neurological center of excellence in the Sharp-Grossmont Hospital for Neurosciences on the campus. 50-bed facility where we treat patients with brain, nerve, and spine conditions, and the region's only focused ultrasound center to treat patients with movement disorders. Clinical care indicators, patient, employee, and physician satisfaction, and most importantly, profitability have all exceeded our expectations in Sharp-Grossmont over the years and far beyond what they were in 1991. We do maintain the expertise, and we're the only local healthcare system that maintains the expertise to successfully partner with a healthcare district and ensure a vibrant future for a hospital like Tri-City Medical Center. And we would be most honored to have that opportunity to do that with you. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris, for that. Patty Mason, would you like to make some comments?
Great. Thanks so much. And thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to come and just give you a little bit of an overview. I want to really thank the Tri-City Board. You all have been so committed to this work, and however this turns out, we're just thrilled that you are going through this process and looking for ways to strengthen and sustain Tri-City. We're very grateful to Juniper, to Chris and Casey. They've been good partners along the way to give us some guidance about what's important, and we really appreciate them. And I just have to give a big shout out to Jean and Jeremy and this team for those financial results. I'm glad I got to hear that. It's tremendous. Good job. Our proposals from Sharp and Scripps, Sharp and UCSD are both really good proposals, I think. And I think no matter what you choose, you're going to have a good partner. Sharp is a wonderful partner, as Chris has outlined. We believe that we are particularly good in some specific areas and some general areas. Want to highlight the Cancer Center, first part of the proposal in particular. All of these processes take a lot of time. That medical offices building has been sitting fallow for, 15 years? We believe it can be a comprehensive cancer center sponsored by our NCI-designated cancer center that we can recruit medical oncologists and radiation oncologists and medical subspecialists and surgical subspecialists in cancer in that facility. We are above capacity at Morris Cancer Center in La Jolla. We're running 7 days a week, all day, part of the night to get through our cancer volume. And it just keeps coming, and we just need to find more room. That's one of the challenges we have. We believe we can take care of patients here in this district right close to home. They come in for infusion, they come in for radiation. It's a real burden on patients. To be able to get it closer to home, I think, is a really important opportunity. Our Joint Powers Authority that we've put out, again, timing can be flexible about when assets and liabilities move into that Joint Powers Authority, but there's a commitment to move all the assets and liabilities in, so I just wanted to make that clear. And then our implementation of EPIC, so that's just some of the highlights. With that, I just would say, again, I think you've got wonderful choices. Whether you choose UCSD or you choose Sharp, I think that we are here to serve your community and to be here. And if it means that there are other things that we can do with your new partner, happy to have those conversations as well. We've tried to make a name for ourselves of being able to work with everybody. We're building public health systems across the region. We're sustaining and supporting the Imperial Valley Health District, pulling those hospitals together and creating scale so we can keep care there in Imperial Valley. I hope we can do some of the same things in North County. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to both Patty and Chris for your remarks. Obviously, we're very, very fortunate to have two excellent healthcare systems that are in the runnings for a potential partnership. Next, I'd like to go to the comments from members of the public. If anybody, each member has up to 3 minutes to provide public comment. And we'll take the in-person comments before the Zoom ones. And so far, I have, first speaker card is Marvin Mizell, a city resident of Vista. Do you mind coming up to the podium and speaking?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board, everyone. This is the first time I've been back since I cycled off the board. I no longer have a vote, but I still have a voice. And I wanted to come today, and I was very happy to see that we've gotten to where we are again, so that this community will have this hospital for years to come. So I was extremely happy about that. Had to make it over here. I looked at both proposals very closely. And what I wanted to say is 2 words came to mind, and those words were simplicity and trust. And in the simplicity category, that was towards Sharp, because it was very plain and it very clearly fit the needs of this hospital, as I recall, unless something changed in the last 6 months. The assumption of all the liabilities. I remember that being a very big thing. $100 million capital investment. Seismic compliance without a GO bond. That is major. You guys don't know that. That's incredible. Now, I did notice the GO bond for new building, but you might get that with Sharp's name behind this place. Employees generally being hired by Sharp. I saw there were a few things in there that were exceptions, but for the most part, it covered the employees. Of course, Epic and Workday, very big things. Commitment to treat all patients, the community benefit. I saw the Tri-City Foundation was going to stay the way it is, which I thought was really wonderful. And I know we'll make efforts to try to go back to labor and delivery, but that's a difficult thing. But I do appreciate at least the commitment to trying. So I looked at that, and then I thought about trust. Obviously, we were here in October of 2023. And some things changed. I'm not here to be negative, but some things changed after that evening to what happened. And we have to go with a partner we can trust. And if I'm going to put into the trust category, I also would have to go with Sharp to know that they will follow through on what they say. You don't often get a second chance. Usually there's only one. A second chance has come. I'm very happy it has. And so in this moment, I say seize that second chance, go with Sharp, and have this community hospital be here with the Sharp name on it and people come into it for many years in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin. Do we have any other speaker cards that would like to speak on this agenda item? Are there anybody via Zoom?
Madam Chair, I do have one speaker that's submitted electronically ahead of the meeting. So if it's okay, I can read that at this point in time. States, dear members of the Tri-City Healthcare District Board, I am a Zone 4 resident and I want to express my general support for your continued work in seeking a strategic partnership that puts the health and well-being of our community first. Tri-City has always been a part of my life, from the day I was born to the day I received my first COVID-19 vaccine at your facility. I'm grateful for the care and service this hospital has consistently provided, and I appreciate the board's thoughtful, transparent approach in evaluating affiliation options to secure the long-term sustainability of the district. The goals you've outlined, such as restoring essential services, investing in technology, and expanding local access to care, are critical for our growing and diverse community. I trust that you will continue to keep the public's best interest at the center of every decision. Please include this email as part of the public comment from the May 29th meeting and distribute it to all board members for consideration. Thank you for your leadership and commitment to protecting quality health care in North County. Sincerely, Sarah Spinks, Zone 4 resident, Vista, California.
Thank you. And did we have anyone via Zoom? Yes, we did. Okay. Okay. They may.
Is it time to speak?
Yes, Randy, it's your time to
Okay.
speak.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good afternoon, board. This is Randy Lennick. I'm a 3-term board member at the Grossmont Healthcare District. And I'm just calling in today to highly recommend, without any reservation, that the Tri-City Board approve an alliance with Sharp Healthcare. 34 years ago, the Grossmont Board made a similar difficult decision, but it was prescient to partner with Sharp Healthcare to operate Grossmont Hospital. They realized then that a standalone rural safety net hospital needed to affiliate in order to survive. It was not without controversy, as any significant change is, but not only did we survive, we prospered under Sharp leadership. You'd be hard pressed today to find anybody who's a naysayer on the lease agreement with Sharp Healthcare. Recent lease extension passed easily with a very high majority. Patient, physician, and employee satisfaction are all on the rise. Before the lease, we were facing debt and a basically average performing hospital. Now we have 300 plus days cash on hand, a comprehensive stroke center, one of a handful of neuro hospitals in the country, and award-winning excellence across all of our core services. We passed a GEO bond in 2006, largely due to the fact that we were affiliated with Sharp Healthcare. The latest master site plan is moving forward to complete all of our seismic updates by 2030 at about $620 million. Every stakeholder has benefited by our partnership, especially the public. I have worked closely with Sharp as a district board member, hospital board member, and Sharp board member, and will attest that Sharp is committed and can be trusted to do what they say. And again, I recommend that you consider your affiliation with Sharp Healthcare. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Kaiser, and I'm from San Diego County. I would like to respectfully ask the Tri-City Board to seriously reflect on whether the University of California is truly a responsible or sustainable choice for partnership. While UC presents itself as a world-class institution, it is currently facing widespread internal turmoil. The university continues to cite budget crisis as a justification for hiring freezes and resource constraints. Yet it simultaneously moves forward with costly expansion projects like the soon to newly be opened McGrath Outpatient Pavilion. Even more troubling, the university is currently refusing to negotiate in good faith with 2 of its frontline unions, both of which are out of contract. These are the very workers who kept their facilities running during the height of the pandemic, and now they're being asked to wait without a contract for the wages, staffing, protections, and respect they've more than earned. So I ask the board, is this the kind of partnership that reflects Tri-City's values? Should you guys be aligning with an institution that invests in buildings while freezing staffing, that speaks about equity but fails to treat its own workers fairly? Partnership should be built on trust, transparency, and shared values. And in my opinion, until the UC can demonstrate a genuine commitment to its workforce and community accountability, I urge you to reconsider what the partnership might truly cost you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any more speakers via Zoom? Yesenia, are you there? Would you like to make a comment, Yesenia? We're going to move on if you can't hear us. Nope. Okay. Any others? Nope, that's it? Okay, no other public comments. I'll move on to the next part. Now the recommendation from our ad hoc affiliation committee. Director Adela, would you like to present the recommendation?
Thank you, Director Chaya. Over the past few years, this ad hoc committee has been steadfast in its mission to identify the best community partner to serve the long-term needs of our patients, staff, and broader public. We undertook this responsibility not as a governing body, but as stewards of public trust, setting aside organizational interests to focus solely on what would best serve our community. After extensive review with the support of a third party with over 25 initial plausible partners, 2 strong proposals have arisen. The proposals have been reviewed with full consideration of staff input, community needs, and expected public growth in mind. After exhausting consideration of both 2 final proposals, we have concluded that one institution offers the clearest path forward. This process has demanded sacrifice from our leadership, staff, and patients alike. It is now time to bring this chapter to a close and move forward with a partnership that ensures long-term stability, excellence in care, and a safer, stronger workplace for all. We would like to thank the public, our guests, and the healthcare institutions present for the comments we have received. Our ad hoc committee recommends Tri-City Healthcare move forward with exclusivity with Sharp Healthcare. Sharp's proposal provides structure for a long-term lease of the hospital, similar to Grossmont Hospital, which has proven to be a successful public-private partnership over the last 30-plus years. It provides financial stability by assuming all of the hospital liabilities. It provides over $100 million in capital commitments and seismic compliance for a minimum of 175 hospital beds. It offers employment to our hospital staff and recognizes our labor union contracts and agrees to bargain in good faith. It agrees to maintain an independent medical staff and foundation that will remain a separate supporting entity of our hospital. Under the long-term lease agreement, the hospital will have the expertise of Sharp managing the operations of the hospital, but the district will maintain an important oversight role. Finally, the lease will be subject to the approval of the voters of the communities we serve. Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve Sharp term sheet, authorize staff, consultants, and our attorneys to negotiate and execute a letter of intent consistent with the term sheet and move forward with the due diligence and consideration of the definitive agreements for the long-term lease with Sharp Healthcare.
Can I have a second to discuss the motion?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Director Gleason. Now, who would like to have some questions or make some remarks regarding this motion? Director Brown?
Good evening, everyone. I have not had the pleasure to go on the 2-year journey with my colleagues as board of directors. And my biggest concern that I had, and I shared this in many meetings that we had earlier, was that the community was engaged. When I hear tonight that there will be a vote and the community does have to be engaged in the vote and looking at the community focus, that is extremely important to me. The other piece that is also important is taking care of the uninsured and making sure that we have like services that are able to service our patients. There are many Medi-Cal patients here in Oceanside, Vista, as well as Carlsbad. So it's extremely important that whoever we partner with has that capability. What's also important is the workforce. Are they able to come to North County? It is extremely important that the community gets the services in the community we serve, not that the community has to go to San Diego or outside of their community for their services. So it is my hopes that that happens. I do have one question because I was not a part of the committee. How did we come up with the 100 to 175 beds? I'm just wanting to know, just on my lack of knowledge, on how did this bed number come to be based on where we stand today?
Do you want to answer that, Dr. Moore?
Sure. I'll answer that best I can. So 175 beds are what are not compliant post-2030 are the south and the central tower. The majority of the satellites, including the ED, laboratory, surgery, they are compliant. And the tower that is compliant is the pavilion, which is 96 beds. The labor and delivery tower, in addition to the one north inpatient beds. Those amount to a total of 175 beds. However, the challenge would be that the central tower would become decommissioned as it is not currently compliant. What that would mean is utilities would have to be rerouted out of the central tower. Anything that was essential to acute care would have to be rerouted and placed elsewhere in the facility, and that would include SPD and food and nutrition services. And additionally, because you would not be able to move patients through the center tower, it would require the construction of thoroughfares, access around the center tower, and that construction does have a cost to it. And that is why there is a commitment necessary to maintain those 175 beds, but that 175 comes from the towers that would be compliant with the seismic requirements as of 2030.
I also need to speak that I did receive calls from some of the community members who received the information 48 hours in advance. And in communicating, it would have been nice if they had it before then, but as we are going through this process, to know that they do again get a chance to vote and be a part of the community involvement, that step is a must as whatever we decide to do moving forward as a district.
Thank you, Director Brown. Do any of the directors, one's via Zoom, Director Chavez and Director Younger, are there any comments or statements that either of you would like to make? We have from, Stacey. Is she not on? Are we not? Either of, because I know Director Younger has a statement. Is she?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me, Director Shaya?
Yes, Director Younger.
Yeah.
We hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for attending this important meeting, especially thanks to the board members tirelessly to evaluate this partnership proposal. And a big thank you to Chris Howard from Sharp and Patty Mason from UCSD for attending and speaking today. So here we are again, selecting a health system for partnership. It feels like a bit of deja vu, but all good things come in time, don't they? Although as the ad hoc board, we have selected our main partner, both systems are very strong and offer quite compelling distinct and advantageous. Given the different strengths of both, my hope is a system that was not selected. They have programs which do not duplicate those of our main partner, which would be complementary and further serve the needs of our local community. In the long run, this could be a significant win for all three systems that we feel will help us build a strong, sustainable healthcare system of the future in North County. And I just, again, wanted to thank the ad hoc committee for all your hard work.
Thank you, Director Younger. I think everyone got the main gist of that. Any other board members want to make a comment before I make one myself? Coulter, DG, no? Okay. Well, I'd like to say a few things. I first want to thank the Juniper Advisory for your thorough presentation and your guidance through what has been an arduous but absolutely necessary process. I also want to extend my sincere gratitude to Dr. Ma and his entire team. I recognize how demanding it is to run a hospital from day to day and truly appreciate you taking the time to collaborate with Juniper and provide the critical data needed to explore potential partnerships. And of course, a big thank you to both Patty Mason and Chris Howard for taking the time to come and speak with our board, our staff, and the community at large. As both a physician and elected director on this board, I know how deeply we all value our 60-plus year legacy of independently serving the community. Personally, I've had the honor of being part of Tri-City's journey for the past 13 years as a physician and more recently as a board member. But today we're facing a very different landscape, one in which vital institutions like healthcare are increasingly under pressure from federal policy decisions. The projections are quite stark. 14 million Americans are expected to lose their healthcare coverage over the next decade, 2 million of those being right here in California. That equates to at least 15,000 people in our own hospital district. What does that mean for us? It means we're staring down a future with dramatically more uninsured patients, and that will drive uncompensated healthcare costs through the roof, potentially of $48 billion per year by 2034. That's not just an economic burden. This is a humanitarian crisis that will hit communities like ours the hardest. Let me make this a bit more personal. Your neighbor, a 45-year-old diabetic father of 3, is about to lose his Medicaid coverage because of the most recent legislation. Without help, he'll now start rationing his insulin. That puts him at risk for diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a life-threatening condition and will possibly land him in the ICU. This will possibly push him and his family into financial ruins. He is not an outlier. He's one of many. I think of my own mother. She's a breast cancer survivor who benefited directly from the protections underneath the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid expansion. These cuts will impact lives of everybody that we know, our patients, our neighbors, our families. If we don't act, we're going to continue to lose more of our doctors, our nurses, our technicians, our therapists, at a time where our healthcare workforce is already stretched beyond capacity. We remain committed to this community, but our commitment alone is not enough anymore. We need more infrastructure, we need resources, we need a partnership to help keep this hospital thriving. Given the direction of our healthcare policy and market forces, it's not feasible to do this alone, or responsible, candidly. We must strengthen our ability to deliver comprehensive clinical care. We must improve our patients' experiences and expand affordability and access across the region. That's why this board has been steadfast in pursuit of a healthcare partnership. Our county, San Diego, is incredibly fortunate to be home to several outstanding healthcare systems that are national leaders in innovation and delivery. That abundance of excellence has made this decision process very exciting but incredibly difficult at the same time. Among the two options before us, the Sharp healthcare system stands out. Their pillars of excellence align closely with ours. And while all pillars are important, I want to focus on the ones that matter the most to myself, as a board member, as a physician, and as a community member. And those are people and community. We have a very unique opportunity to help build our shared values. The Sharp experience and the heart of Tri-City are more than slogans. They reflect cultures of compassion, collaboration, and community service. When those foundational pillars align, the others will follow naturally. Ultimately, our ability to care for our patients is directly tied to how we care for our people, our nurses, our doctors, our staff. That's the Tri-City way, and it's also the Sharp way too. Thank you all for being here today, lending your voices, your insight, your commitments. Your input helps us make a more informed and thoughtful decision, one that will help shape the future of healthcare in this region for decades to come. And with that, are there any other board members want to make any more comments? I'd like to put this to a vote, for a roll call vote. I'll start with Director Brown.
Yes.
Yes. You vote yes on the motion. Yeah. Director Coulter? Aye. Yes. Director Gleason? Yes. Director Sanchez?
Yes.
Director Younger, if you can hear me. If you can vote in the chat too. Same with Director Chavez, which I'm not sure.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, Director
yes.
Younger.
Excellent. Okay.
I think Director Chavez can hear us. So
Okay.
we can
You can put
hear
in the
it. If
chat,
you'll
too.
speak up.
Yes.
Okay. And my vote's a yes. So unless we have, so unanimously passes to move forward with a Sharp 10. Does anybody on the board need a break? Would anyone like to take a break? Can we move on? We can move along? Okay. Where are we now? All right, next. I just lost the page around here. Yeah. So item D on the agenda now is to approve the sale of the medical office suites at 2095 East West Vista Way, subject to final approval by Tri-City Medical Center's lender. Jeremy, would you like to speak to this?
Sure.
No break. Okay, good idea.
Thank you, Chair Chaya, for today. On the agenda is the proposed sale of Tri-City's 86% ownership of the property at 2095 West Vista Way. The district has maintained this property and has held this for as long as I've been here, which is 18 years, much longer than that. And the building is ready to have a refresh by a new owner. And so before you is a proposal for the board to consider the disposition of the 86% asset owned of that property by Tri-City to an investor for a sum of $4.5 million. Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Do I have a motion? Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Can I have a second? Second. Let's do a roll call vote. Director Brown?
Yes.
Director Coulter? Yes. Director Gleason? Yes. Director Sanchez?
Yes.
Director Younger? Can we get them to vote via chat? And Director Chavez on chat?
Yes, I can chat.
Okay, and I'm a yes. So this approved.
Chat, okay.
Add agenda items approved. Our next item for consideration is to approve an increase in contract maximum allowable by $350,000 for previously approved locum tenens pathology coverage from Barton Associates to fill a crucial service need. Dr. Ma, can you provide us with a report?
Yes. So simply what this was is you previously approved locums coverage when we lost our pathology group, and we contracted with Barton to provide that coverage. Unfortunately, it took longer to complete the RFP and to bring in the specialists. We have secured that as of February, but because the extension of that exceeded my signature authority, we wanted to, in all transparency, make sure the board approved that additional amount to cover that locums, but that agreement would now be sunset. It's just, ensuring that the maximum approved met the amount that we actually were using. So that's all that is.
Okay. Can I have?
I move approval of an increase in contract maximum allowable by $350,000 for a previously approved agreement with Barton and Associates to provide locum tenens pathology services for a term of 12 months, beginning July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026, with a term cost not to exceed an additional $350,000.
Do I have a second? Second. And let's take a roll call vote. Director Brown?
Yes.
Director Coulter? Yes. Director Sanchez? Director Younger? Director Chavez? I need a yes from somebody, and I'm a yes. Either of them? No? We may want to have them in the chat so we can later get the right. Make sure we have their position on it.
Yes. Director Younger, yes.
Thank you, Director Younger. Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item. There's no old business. The next one will be Chief of Staff. Dr. Shoa, can you provide us with a Chief of Staff report?
So before you for consideration for approval is the May 25 credentialing actions and reappointments and the privilege card request for emergency medicine for a nurse practitioner and medical staff bylaws revisions.
Thank you, Dr. Shoa. Can I have a motion to approve the listed items listed?
Approve the list.
Thank you, Director Brown.
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Director Brown?
Yes.
Director Coulter? Aye. Director Gleason? Yes. Director Sanchez?
Yes.
Director Younger?
Yes.
Director Chavez? He's going to be a yes permanently, and I'm a yes. Okay, thank you. That's passed also. Thank you, Dr. Shoa. Next agenda item is the consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that a board member wants to be pulled for discussion?
No, I move approval of the consent calendar.
And get a vote. Director Brown?
Yes.
Director Coulter? Director Gleason is a yes. And Director Younger? For Tracy.
I know.
I'm really tired of it. Or Director Chavez will get maybe a yes at some point. And I'm a yes. So we're passing that. Consent calendar has been passed. And then do we have any remarks from the public that want to speak on something that was not on the agenda? That would like to speak now? Anyone? I don't see that. Then we're going to move on to the next agenda item. Comments from our Chief Executive Officer. Dr. Ma, would you like to make any comments?
Sure, if it's okay.
Absolutely.
I wanted to reiterate what has been said. The choice today was not, often in life it's the lesser of two evils. This was truly two spectacular health systems. And I would say, yes, you couldn't go wrong, and yet you made a phenomenal choice. 28 years ago, I moved to this community, having been in the Bay Area, trained in that area, got a chance to see what world-class healthcare really was like. And when I came here, my wife was pregnant, and we asked, where all the doctors and nurses, where would you go to deliver? Universally, everybody said, you got to go to Sharp-Mayer Birch. I said, what is that? They just said, well, drive on the freeway and you'll see a stork on top of a building. That was my first introduction to Sharp. But my wife's introduction to Sharp was truly, we had a chance to see the world-class healthcare that I had seen in these other organizations at a health system here in San Diego. But what I had never seen before was world-class caring, and that stuck with us. Our next 4 children we delivered at Sharp-Mayer Birch. I say next 4 as if there's more. That was it. And I have to say, we were sold. And there's a reason why people choose Sharp Health. There is a reason why they're the largest health system here in San Diego. What they are doing 28 years later in the community, and I know that was so important to you. In Grossmont, they have proven. When you talk about trust, Director Mizell talked about that. This is proven, and what they have done in that community is nothing short of spectacular. A commitment to the community and keeping that care local. A commitment to growing services, increasing access to care. Quality of care, exceptional. They take pride in not only being the best place to receive care, but this is what's really important to me is the DNA of taking pride in being the best place to work. That says a lot about that organization and what's important to them. And that is how they deliver that exceptional care that we experienced. And so I feel like this isn't a conversation just about the numbers, and at times it seems like that. And the proposal is tremendous. But it's also about the philosophical fit that is so important with any alignment. And this is such a phenomenal fit. And so for all the things that Sharp Healthcare is doing, and you could argue, Sharp Health Plan, an integrated Sharp Health Plan that arguably is not seen anywhere in the state of California, the #1 rated health plan in the state of California. Their managed care infrastructure, another really defining component that really fits well with Tri-City, bringing value to the community and serving all constituents of the community. I just want to say that I want to take a moment and thank Chris Howard and your leadership. You're sticking with us. This was a circuitous route to get here, Mr. Howard, and lesser people would have abandoned us at that point. But your steadfast leadership translates across your organization and is a reflection of the hard work that you and your team provide to the community. I do want to thank the people behind the scenes, starting with Tricia Kalegi, Brett McLean, Allison Fury in the beginning, and now, of course, Rick Grossman with Sharp has been doing a phenomenal job, and Scott Evans. Tremendous work. It's been amazing working with you. And I also want to acknowledge the hard work of UCSD because it took a lot to get here. But in the end, I also want to take a moment and finish with a thank you to this board. At moments when you could have become very impatient, you were deliberate. You have been steadfast in your commitment. Your vision and your inspiration is the reason we're here today, because you made it clear what was important to you and that you were going to be committed to that. Mr. Mizell, I'm so glad that you're here today because you started that journey with us and you articulate it so well every single time. So I want to say this community owes a deep debt of gratitude to this board. You don't have to do what you do here. There is no thank you for the amount of work and the commitment that really values the kind of effort it takes to get here. So I'll end there. I'm tapped out.
Thank you, Ma, for those pointed words. And we couldn't have gotten this far without any of you, really. It's a team effort. So, and I'm glad that we're here fighting for the community, because that's what matters most. We're not here for thank yous. We want to make sure that there's a place for everybody to come and be able to get health care for generations to come. So we accept that awesome burden, and we're happy to keep fighting for it. So anyone else want to say any comments? Any other board members would like to make any comments?
Just also congratulations to all of our outstanding staff and the ones that we were able to recognize, especially today. Also, happy Memorial Day. We got our Roger to lead the pledge this month, our former veteran, and thank you to Rocky, to our own board veteran, and all of the staff who are veterans. And as we memorialize past, present veterans, just want to also make sure we mention that today as we have a lot on. I'm like, I'm almost going to cry. This is, but in a happy way. I'm so happy that we got here, and I'm thankful to have the interactions with so many wonderful people that inspire me to keep moving forward. Now, I'm excited for us. Thank you all.
Thank you, Director. That's awesome. And with that, can I have a motion? Oh, Director Brown.
I just want to acknowledge the staff for Hospital Week as well as Nursing Week. It truly was a pleasure to attend the event earlier this month, and it was an honor just to see all of the hard work and the wonderful people and the amazing work you do. Thank you so much, and I wanted to acknowledge the Hospital Week as well as Memorial Day for the vets that have passed on before us. But thank you.
Thank you, Director Brown. Any other comments?
I would like to thank the ad hoc committee and also the leadership team at the hospital. We would not have made it to this point without their dedication and hard work. So thank you, all of you. It truly is a team effort.
That's true. Thank you, Director Gleason. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, thank you.
All right. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we're adjourned. All right.